Football is often known as the beautiful game or joga bonito, simply due to the joy that it can often spread amongst people, regardless of gender lines, caste lines, race lines, or any sort of division or distinction that we might often see in humanity. Unfortunately, due to the fact that the sport of football is part of a society that by and large isn't, of course, perfect, what tends to happen sometimes is that the uglier sides of humanity tend to rear its head in the game that we so love and cherish. And that's exactly what happened with Real Madrid attacker Vinicius Jr, who has found himself the target of racist abuse both before the Madrid derby against Atletico Madrid, as well as during and after the derby against the Madrid rivals. The real question now is, will there be any action taken? And perhaps more importantly, how exactly is it that we got here to begin with? Hello everyone and welcome back to Sports Today. My name is Shane Ras and today we are going to look at how it is that a young footballer ended up becoming a target of racist abuse from certain sections of fans due to a perceived disrespectful celebration. Now, obviously, the incidents that happened at the Wanda Metropolitano yesterday, after or even during and before the match between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid was not exactly a spur of the moment reaction. It was something that had been building and bubbling for quite a while, and unfortunately that was the result. The sad reality is that due to something beyond his control, a young player ended up being the victim of racist abuse. So how exactly did we get to this point? Now, it is important to note that, as I said, it wasn't just a one-off or a simple case of, some miscreant fans actually making their feelings known. No. It was a problem that had been building up beforehand. Now, followers of La Liga or Spanish football would know that there is a TV show called El Chiringuito, which airs on Spanish television, and it is a show that it can be at best described as jingoistic and at worst be described as a place with some of the hottest of hot takes that more often than not makes news for just how ridiculous and controversial it is. Now, the man who ended up making those comments, he's the head of the Spanish Football Agents Agency, and he made some pointed remarks towards Vinicius Jr and the way he chooses to celebrate. Now, I will say this, that the choice of phrasing that he used to describe Vinicius' celebrations was, let's just say, suspect at best, because he said that Vinicius Jr should, quote unquote, stop monkeying around. Now, obviously that is a problematic statement at the best of times, but when it is targeted towards someone with an African ancestry, it obviously becomes even more problematic, and naturally there was a lot of outpour of outrage from fans across the spectrum who said that he shouldn't have been saying things like that about a player of African ancestry. The person in question did, of course, then afterwards say that he meant it in a different way and he wasn't trying to be racist, but again it shows you that one should actually be more thoughtful and mindful of what it is they're saying given certain contexts. You would not want to be using a term like that around a player of African descent. But that wasn't really the end of it. In fact, you know that what happened was Vinicius had to actually put out a statement saying that he will not stop celebrating the way he does, and that he would be fighting against racism, which he believed was the undertone for people actually criticizing his celebration. And I will say that he's not wrong. Why exactly this is the case, I will elaborate on in just a bit. But to make things worse, what happened afterwards was that there was, of course, two sides of the reaction. There was a good reaction and there was a bad reaction. Now, the bad reaction was that Atletico Madrid skipper Koke, when questioned by the media of what would happen if, of course, Vinicius chose to dance and celebrate, he did say very clearly that it would be troublesome, that it would be trouble. And I find that problematic because if you find yourself in that sort of a situation, the best thing to do would be to actually calm tensions down rather than stoke them. And Koke inadvertently or otherwise ended up stoking those tensions. The good side of the reaction, however, was that there was an outpouring of support for Vinicius Jr, and of course there was even a viral hashtag that a lot of people ended up sharing in support of Vinicius, and that came about thanks to, of course, his Brazil teammate Neymar, who took to Twitter and tweeted just 3 words, and these 3 words ended up spawning a hashtag that has been trending on social media ever since. He said, "Baila Vini Jr." Now, baila, roughly translated, means dance. So he basically told Vinicius that you keep dancing, ignore what everyone else says. When you score goals, celebrate how exactly it is that you please. that this phrase hashtag Baila Vinny Jr. ended up becoming a viral thing, and in fact there were many others who spoke up in support of Vinicius Jr. and perhaps the most poignant of those came not only from Neymar, who, by the way, I will translate what it is that he's written here. He basically said that, am I the only one who woke up hoping that Vinicius Jr. scores a goal? Now obviously that's very touching and very moving support from a player who's very high profile and who of course himself has spoken up about such incidents in the past. Yet, arguably the biggest bit of support came from Pele, the former Brazilian footballer and widely considered one of the greatest players of all time. And he took to Instagram and posted this caption, and I'll just quickly read it out. He said that football is a joy, it's a dance, it's more than that, it's a real party, although unfortunately racism still exists, and we will not allow that to stop us from continuing to smile, and we will continue to fight racism every day in this way. He shared this in a caption along with a picture of Vinicius Jr. So it was pretty clear who exactly it was that he was referring to and what were the circumstances that he was talking about. So the support that came Vinicius Jr.'s way was great. Unfortunately, it didn't stop the ugly incidents from happening both before, during, and of course potentially even after the game against Atletico Madrid. Now this is where things kind of get unfortunate, because before the game there was a widely circulated video on social media which showed Atletico Madrid's ultras chanting the words "Vinicius, you are a monkey" over and over again in Spanish multiple times, and this was done despite the fact that there was a lot of police, there were a lot of other people there. The chant kept going on, and unfortunately no one really intervened at that point. No one tried to put a stop to things, and this, by the way, was just before the match. During the match, and it is worth noting that Vinicius Jr. himself didn't score a goal. The goal was scored by his teammate Rodrigo. But what happened was that when Rodrigo was celebrating, Vinicius Jr. went up to him and started celebrating with him, and then also ended up breaking out into a dance. Now that ended up clearly triggering a lot of people in the stadium, because not only were they vociferously booed, objects were thrown, but perhaps worse, there were monkey chants heard around the stadium. Now again, nothing and no sort of a reaction is deserved in that sort of a manner. You cannot be doing that in a civilized society. There is no place for that sort of behavior, not just in football, but in all walks of life. And that was the really unfortunate part, is that he was racially abused before the game, and it happened during the game as well for quite a long time. It says a lot that the result of this match, which by the way Real Madrid won 2-1, was in fact overshadowed by an incident that shouldn't be happening, as I said, not just in football or sport, shouldn't be happening anywhere in life. Now, of course, the real question is that will Atletico Madrid or the necessary authorities act and actually ensure that there are bans put in place? Because again, as I said, the incidents have been very clearly caught on video, so it shouldn't be too hard to ID who exactly these fans are, and potentially ensure that they don't come to football games, so that you don't have this sort of a negative influence. The real question is there a will to do that? Because again, in the past, Atletico Madrid have been a little reluctant from banning their ultras, despite the fact that their ultras have behaved in less than ideal manners during games and even before and after games, which is exactly what happened here. Now, the root cause for all of this, by the way, I have to mention is of course Vinicius Jr. and his manner of celebration, which I have to mention that from a personal point of view, I see nothing wrong with how it is he celebrates. There's no such thing as a disrespectful or a respectful celebration. If a player has scored a goal, he's entitled to support it, to celebrate it in any which way he pleases. And I mean, after all, if we're talking about respect, aren't all goal celebrations disrespectful? Then should a player just stop celebrating? Should he just, pump his fist once and that's it? When exactly do we start or stop the policing here? And dancing being offensive, I mean, I don't understand it. We've been seeing Brazilian players dance, do a little samba dance or do some sort of dance steps for years now at this point. When did it suddenly become offensive to certain people, especially those in power? Like, for instance, the Atletico Madrid president himself said that he should celebrate respectfully. I don't think it's a matter of respect. If he scored a goal, let him celebrate it any which way he pleases, as long as, of course, he's not hurling abuse or deliberately going out of his way to provoke fans. Him dancing is not provocative. Him dancing is just an expression of joy. There's nothing wrong with the fact that he's dancing, and even if you think it's wrong, you can put it across without actually racially abusing the man. It really is as simple as that. I hope, and of course football fans across the world will be hoping, there's strict action taken and that you don't see such incidents crop up again in the future, because it's an ugly situation and no one absolutely should be put through that, regardless of whether or not they've actually even gone out of their way to offend fans. But enough about how I feel about this. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below whether or not you'd want to see fans banned, and of course you can use the hashtag Vinny Jr in support of Vinicius across social media. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon so you know when we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Don't also forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram too. And last but not the least, download the AajTak app for more such news, not just from the world of football, but the world of sport in general. Thank you once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Reyes, and I hope to see you all through the day, but bye-bye for now.